Hey everyone, welcome back to another video with me, Kit, and on Ghosts of the Webway. So I wanted to discuss a little bit about my updated ITC 2000 point competitive list. So post-chapter approved, it's obviously had some nice little changes. I can add quite a lot more into my list that I could before. And I've been working with a little modified version of what I did with the last video, but I just wanted to go through the new and improved list, talk about what I found has worked very well, and basically go into why I've made the changes that I have. So as you'll know from my last video, I run a Battalion, an Outrider, and a Vanguard. Now, I might change that at some point because post-chapter approved, we've got enough points drop that it makes a double battalion or a brigade very viable. And I have been considering a different list based around a brigade detachment, but what I have found is that I really like having options, particularly with the mask choices that I make, the stratagems that we can use, some of the relics as well. So what have I got now, or what has changed? Well, I've got more of most things. So last time I did run 18 bikes. I tweaked the list a little bit after that one and then ran 16 bikes, but now I'm right back up to 18. So I've still got that Outrider detachment that I mentioned last time with 1 Shadow Seer and 18 jet bikes. I'm pretty happy with it and I'm still running it Frozen Stars. The reason why I run it Frozen Stars, and as Bone and Lawrence might say, it's controversial, but the reason why I run this as Frozen Stars is because I do genuinely think that extra attack gives the bikes a lot of versatility in an elite army. It's fantastic to have that staying power, and it's not random. You know you're getting an extra attack on every charge. So a lot of people will use the Soaring Spite on the bikes, and I can understand why, because then you can advance, and then you can also still shoot without the penalty, which is good. I'm not denying it, it is good. But the main reason why a lot of people run that is because of prismatic blur, which is one stratagem on one unit of bikes. So then you can advance them, give them the 3+, and then you can still shoot with like no modifier on your shooting capabilities. And it is good, but I run 3 units. Why would I take a mask because of one unit that I want to buff? That's kind of my thinking behind it. And on top of that, I do find like I'm not advancing all that much. Yeah, sometimes I'll advance a bike unit, but it's usually just the one for Prismatic Blur, as I say. And otherwise, if I'm advancing it, it's probably because I want to charge. And then I don't really care too much whether or not I have the bonus to shooting. It's useful, but I don't like it. So I am running it as Frozen Stars because it gives me a huge advantage in melee, because now you've got the 4 attacks and Zephyr Glaives do work. This is one thing that I keep on learning in every single game that I have. You do want to have a Troop Master nearby, and it can make it a little bit difficult because of their speed to get him in there with them as well. But it's only for one turn. The first turn is the only time that you're not going to have that Troop Master around. And I find they can still mop up infantry like there's no tomorrow. So that's the first detachment, is my Outrider, and I'm sticking with it. The next thing that I have is a Battalion, which maybe I could have done first, but whatever. It's also still Frozen Stars, but what I've done is I've tweaked it a little bit. So before, if you remember, I was running 3 transports with 3 units of 5 troops. I've changed that a little. So I've got now 2 Troop Masters, still with Harlequin's Kisses and with Fusion Pistols. And on Troop Masters, that's the time that I think that Fusion Pistols are worth it. Even with a points drop on troops, I don't like them. Sorry. Hitting on a 3+ with a weapon, it just doesn't do it for me. I'd rather have multiple attacks, particularly on a unit that I see as a dedicated close combat unit. And Shuriken Pistols aren't bad. I like them. They don't do much, but they do something. So Occasionally having that ability is really good, and also I always want to advance them. I'm always advancing my troops every single time that they're on the ground, so yeah, they can't fire their pistols anyway. If I get to the stage where I need to use my pistols, or I can use my pistols, I tend to chuck a plasma grenade, or what I found against knights is that I just use the haywire grenade stratagem, which is really nice. It's nice to have a CP handy for that. So yeah, moving on to those troops, I've got 2 units of 10 with 5 caresses in each unit. So I would love to have the 12, I'd love to have 2 units of 12. I can't fit it into the points, even with the points drop, but 2 units of 10 with 5 caresses, it's pretty good. I found the only thing that I really struggle with is stuff like Boltify or whatever else if I don't get turn 1. You'll see it in one of my battle reports that I've been doing with Beer and Bat Reps. I have found that you lose a 10-man troop quite quickly, but it is a 10-man troop that you're losing and not a 6-bike unit, which has actually made a big difference. I tend to start my first turn, even if I didn't get first turn, with my full 18 bikes, because troops can be really scary. And the opponents that I've had recently, they've learnt that the hard way. So 2 units of 10. And then 2 units of 5 with 4 kisses in transports. I've been using them, I love them, I think they're fantastic. I like having the versatility within my combat. If Harlequins were significantly cheaper, I would maybe consider like having 1 fusion boat in addition. But honestly, I find that the bikes and the combat do seem to do a lot of work. I've had mixed results, as I say. I'm still learning to use this list, but I have found that Frozen Stars core really helps me with what my playstyle and how I like to play the Harlequins, which is quite aggressive, but is also very disruptive. So coming up against gunline armies, I often use an extra relic, the Star Mist Raiment, to be able to deny Overwatch, and when I hit like a truck, and that's what matters to me. So, as I say, let's round that off with a summary. That's 2 Troop Masters, 2 units of 10 troops, 2 units of 5 troops, 2 transports, 18 bikes, and a Shadow Seer, all as Frozen Stars. Now, the spells and relics that I take tend to be dependent a little bit on my opponent, but I round off the list with a mixed Vanguard detachment. Now, I don't find any of the masks really benefit any of the characters massively. Frozen Stars for the extra attack, it's nice, but honestly, I don't care. Particularly on Death Jesters, why would I care? And I've got in my Vanguard, I've got a Shadow Seer, who is Frozen Stars to give me the aura. I've got 2 Death Jesters. I've still got my Warlord Death Jester with Curtain Fall and the Player of Twilight. I've been loving that option. It's an option. I don't always use things like the strats to buff him, but he's a nice little sniper. Sometimes he's had really amazing success with Curtain Fall, particularly with an example made. Sometimes he's been useless and done nothing, but he gives me those CP, so I'm happy. And the other Death Jester just hangs around, like, holding backfield objectives. So far, that's been my main use for him. I do think against a game against something like Guard or Orcs, like, it can be quite useful just to put those extra wounds on a buff character. But at the moment, he's been doing exactly what I want him to do, taking objectives, hanging back, and denying kill points, and hiding in magic boxes, and whatever else it is that he needs to do. And now I do have the Solitaire. I'm really like putting in my Solitaire. And I've been running my Solitaire as the Silent Shroud for that Deny Overwatch stratagem. So what I've been doing with this army is it's become quite a toolbox army for me. So I've got my Solitaire for that Silent Shroud, Deny Overwatch. I also, against gunlines, add the Star Mist Raiment for 1 CP on one of my Troop Masters to add another Deny Overwatch, which has been fantastic against things like Admech, against Knights. It's useful against Marines. However, if you're playing against Ultramarines, anyone who's played against Ultramarines before, which I'm sure many of you have, having a single model tag something in combat with no Overwatch, it doesn't do enough, because you can't wrap them, and you can't deny their fallback and shoot, which is a really difficult matchup for us, the Ultramarines, I have to say. So yeah, that's what I've been doing with that. I kind of have been using this as a real toolbox army. My Shadow Seers are there to support my troops, usually on foot. I don't really use them to hide at all. I do like the fact that I've added another one. I think 2 is necessary, particularly after the points drop. It's very, very nice. My Solitaire as an addition, he's a risk unit. Sometimes he's amazing, sometimes he does nothing. I've had him kill like 5 AdMech Destroyer blokies, you know, the weird like cyborg tractor shooty guys, and I've had him kill like 1 Marine or do nothing. So he's a massive risk, but I like having him in the list, even if it's just for deny Overwatch. So as I say, I'm still learning how to play it properly, but actually he has been a really good addition. And I agree with all of you guys in the comment section. I can see what your points were about including one, and yeah, you were right. What can I say? Solitaire, good addition. So yeah, that is the core of my army. It is exactly 2,000 points after chapter approved. And I will be running through another video, hopefully with a very special guest soon, in which we are going to discuss how to build lists after points reductions and points additions. So in armies where you've had changes in chapter approved, which is most armies, where things have gone down in points, things have gone up in points, how do you build an army? Do you tweak things? Do you change things? Or do you restructure your army completely? As you can see with mine, I've been tweaking. I haven't changed it much. I've just added what I can. And I have found that actually I'm really happy with it now. And this has been mostly playtesting. Thank you very much to Nick from Beer and Batrex, because without him I wouldn't be able to playtest at the moment. As you guys know, the hobby can be quite expensive, and right now I'm not really in a position to go and buy masses and masses of miniatures. However, I'm really hoping that I'm going to have some proper bat reps with my fully painted army somewhere in January. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to showing you what these guys can do.